Good evening, everybody. Dave here, Scale Models Midwest. Welcome back to the workbench, and I hope you're having a great weekend. Nice and hot here in Iowa, and I'm sure most places elsewhere are just as hot. But down here in the basement, nice and cool. Got my YouTube going so I can watch other people's videos, and just working on the kits. This is one of them I'm working on, finished actually. This is the Tamiya Lotus Super 7 Series 2. A fantastic kit. This is a kind of like a re-release the more I looked at it, but it's still about a 20-year-old kit. If you see it in your hobby store, I highly recommend picking it up and building it someday, or building it right away, and you can just go detail nuts on this. Even though it is really small, I had no problem putting it together. Just a couple little things, you know, it's like the parts are small enough that you have to use the right kind of tweezers or clamps to get them sit in right. Otherwise, you're going to lose some parts like I did. The front turn signals, I lost one down here in my carpet, so I'm going to try and find it. I have the other one, so in case I do find the one, I can put them both on. If not, no loss. The headlamps, I initially put them into the buckets and forgot to put the headlamps into the chrome trim rings which were on the tree, so I took those apart, got that updated. That photo etched grill piece in the front is just magnificent. I mean, it's delicate, but it bent easily, fits into the nose piece just perfect, and got that all done up. Front suspension is very delicate, but it's turning, and this one's a roller, so it's a great little kit. If you're handling this one as you're building this particular kit, my recommendation would be to not put on the side exhaust pipe until you're done, because every time I touch the kit, the exhaust pipe would come off. So I was using Tamiya extra thin quick setting cement, and I figured I'll just wait until I'm done. And when I was almost pretty much completely done with the kit, I put that back on and let it sit. The roll bar hoop, I decided to put that in there, and for that you take the tonneau cover, and there's two little marks that you can hog out, sand them. You'll have to sand them just a little bit more than what they give you, so it'll fit proper. You have your choice of a rounded mirror or a square mirror. I took the rounded one, did a little touch of Molotow for the chrome, and you also have your choice of a full windscreen or the dual windscreen. I really like the dual windscreen. We've got a neighbor right down the street from our house that has an old MGTC. He has dual windscreens on his, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing. The steering wheel, I had fun with that. For the steering wheel, I used a combination of Tamiya clear yellow and then Tamiya clear orange, and kind of give it that nice little walnut look for the steering wheel. And the dash gauges, what I did with those is I just did Molotow chrome pen for each of the gauge circles, in fact the whole thing, and then as I put the decals on, the gauge rings, if you will, kind of shine a little bit because of the Molotow chrome pen. So when you're doing something like that, if you're doing it on the cheap, you're not using photo etch, do your gauges all with Molotow chrome pen, and then if you have decals, put the decals over top that, and then it'll kind of give that look of trim ring. So that looked pretty sweet. The underside, again, very basic, but that's what these cars were, very basic post-war machines, and these were fantastic for autocrossing. Like I said, in the Des Moines Valley region, SCCA, I knew of at least one that ran. This was 94, 95, 96 when I competed in F-Stock and then E-Street Prepared. And this one, I'd like to say it was like in a D-Stock or something like that. I mean, these things were tiny, but don't let that fool you. These things go around the course like roller skates. They would actually be, in some cases, faster than Camaros and the Mustangs like the one I had. But as you can see, just kind of showing you the engine, the brake and clutch pedal, and then the gas pedal there, they all come up through. The two mount from the top, and the gas pedal from the bottom. They have little holes for everything, so there's a lot of positive locators. The engine, I did some detail painting on it and then some slight weathering. The side draft carbs. I mean, this whole thing is great. Now, even though it's small, you could still drill out the distributor cap and run 4 plug wires in. You could do battery cables. I mean, you can do this. I did see a much larger scale version of this down in Ottumwa when I went to my first model car show. And of course, that one was super detailed. It was like I'd have to say a 1/6 or 1/8 scale. I mean, it was big for a small car like this. But I just went on ahead and did this one box stock because I have some other kits that I was wanting to work on. I was excited to put this one together, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Whoever painted this body before, the guy from the hobby shop got it, and I bought it from him, did a fantastic job on it. So if you see this video, you know, thank you. You did a great job on this paint. I'd build another one, but I would probably build it in like Highland green and simulating leather straps to hold down the bonnet. And I don't know. I just think it looks sharp. So I hope you like it. And I'm gonna go on ahead and show you what else I've got worked on. I've been working on the Toyota, and as you can see over here, kind of mocked this one up. It's not going to be built Pro Street, although I still have this old monogram T-Bird chassis, the last one I had from about 20 kits that I had of these that I built, and I was kind of going, what if, because I think Matthew over at Model Car Videos did one similarly, and I just kind of said, what if, but then I decided I'm going to do this stock, so I just put it there just for fun. But anyhow, let's go on and show you what else I got. Okay, so what I've got here is I've got an update, just a quick one, on the Salvinos JR 2023 Toyota, driven by Denny Hamlin. Got the body already sanded, primed, and painted. I did the paint in Tamiya pure white, a couple of light coats on it, and then a little bit of a heavy wet coat, let it dry. Then I've got it cleared. After that, I'm going to put the decals on that, but I will not clear the decals, so I just put the decals on top of the gloss. And after that's done, we'll have just the windows to install, and then of course put that on the body. But meanwhile, while that's all doing its thing, I've got the chassis mostly put together. I still have to do the suspension pieces, and this Rodney Curtis 3D printed jig is definitely something that'll save your bacon when you're trying to set up the ride height on the front and rear suspension. The rule of thumb was like 3 or 4 pennies, and I was doing that for the first couple of these kits that I built. Then I saw this made available through the Salvinos JR Builders Club. Rodney Curtis, I believe one of the members, had at the time offered these. I went and I picked one up. I'm sure if you searched out for Rodney Curtis, or if you remember the Salvinos Club and you don't have this, get it. Did some paint detailing. As you can see, interior, from the box in the back, and one on the bottom. One thing I did was, as I've done with all the kits since I did the first one, is I have sanded off or sanded down the molded in shift linkage that went back to the transaxle, and I've replaced it with a brass rod. Sometimes I've painted it, sometimes I've just left it brass. I just think it's a nice sharp detail. Just one little thing could really make the interior pop. I mean, even if like you're building an engine, you do wires or coils, what have you, it's just that little extra detail that kind of sets it off from a full-on box stock built paint detail, much the same way. I also have the switch panel in. I forgot to put that in on my Ford that I built recently, and I still have a few more things to put on. But one thing I wanted to point out was in step 10, if you're building this very same kit, it shows these 2 bars, which would normally go kind of like that. This is facing the front. They would go in spots right here and here, both sides, but this dash top takes the place of it, and that is awesome. I think it's great. You don't have to use these. Sometimes when I've used them, when I built my first couple of models, they actually looked like they were bowed, and I had to kind of cut them or sand them down so they would fit flush. And this just, to me, is just so much better. So great job, Salvinos JR. Great engineering from Jim Rogers, and that just keeps getting better and better with these kits. I have everything mocked up. The chassis pan was not warped. I have had warped chassis pans before, and it's not a big deal because a little bit of warm water and something heavy on top of it will generally flatten it out. And yet also in this, when you build it up just right, whether you use the jig or not, these pins here, 4 of them on the gray part of the chassis, 2 on the front, and then this one little round hole in the back, round peg in the back, fits into all the spots on the chassis. And just continually test fit your parts, and you won't have any issue with them. It actually flattens it out too, so using this jig, like I said, it'll help all the wheels set on all 4 nice and level, and no, I like it. Got the transaxle in place. I don't have the entire engine built yet. I've got paint detail I did with that. I'm still going to paint the air box to kind of mimic carbon fiber, because I had ordered some carbon fiber decals and they have not come in yet. So I'm just going to keep working on this kit and get it built. So you can see over here I've got the parts that I'm ready to put in the kit that are just painted. I've got the wheels in the back with a couple of decals, and I'm going to put on those to kind of add a little bit of detail to it. And then otherwise, that's pretty much it. Got a couple more days of working on this kit, and she should be buttoned up and ready to put up on the shelf, ready for display. In the meantime, I'm going to go on ahead and get some other stuff worked on. I've got the Oldsmobile kit to start working on. And just with that, I hope you're having a great rest of the weekend, and we'll just catch you next video. Keep building the cool kits.